Alright, the last video, guys. This is how you would go about finishing off this project. Firstly, you've probably done this already, but at some point you're going to need to save your work. So I'm just going to go to File and Save As, find a location for it, and I'm going to just call this vector alphabet, or whatever works for you. And you can save this as an Illustrator file for now, that's fine. When you save Illustrator files, by the way, it's going to ask you for a version up the top. If you're working on the version you intend to carry on working with, then it's fine just to leave this as is. If you have a specific version of Illustrator that you're working on, like Creative Suite version 6 or 5 or anything like that, it's definitely advisable to save back from that. I can't imagine many of you are working with Creative Suite 6 or Creative Suite 5, but just in case you are, be aware there is the option to downsave for that. And you really should as well. If you don't downsave for that, it does mess up with your file a bit. You'll still be able to open it, but it might not be that user-friendly. If you're working on the version of the software you're going to work on, just leave as is, and that should be fine. Now, when you finish up this project, what you're required to hand in is a 3-page PDF. Page 1 will be your photographic alphabet, just as is. Page 2 will be your vectorized version of the alphabet without the photos. And page 3 will require you to print out your vector alphabet, trace it, and on that tracing, draw in your relevant guides. So if you're doing lowercase, that would be your X height and your baseline. If you were doing a capital or an uppercase alphabet, you would need your cap height and your baseline. So just to give you an example of how you would go about putting that PDF together, let's just assume that this is a complete alphabet here. For your first file, I would suggest you go to your Layers panel, hide your tracing layer, hide your guides, and double-click on your Photos layer just to make sure it's not a template. You want those images to be fully visible, not dimmed, like it does in a template. And then you can save a version of this file. So I'm going to go File and Save As. And you can save it as a PDF, which might be helpful to begin with. And I might just call this P1 Photos, just so I know what that is. And we've saved a version of this file. In the Save PDF screen that comes up, just hit Save PDF. That should be fine. If any other warnings come up, just press OK to that as well. It should be all right. The next version is the tracing by itself. So in your Layers panel, you can hide your Photos layer by clicking on the eyeball and make your tracing layer visible again. And what you should see is just your alphabet by itself, no photos, no guides. And then you can go File and Save As. And then I'm going to save this as P2 Vectors, if I can spell it. And once again, you can press Save PDF to those options that pop up. Now this P2 vectors that you just saved here, this PDF, this would be the one that you print out. And then you can do what you did in some of your first projects, get some tracing paper over the top, start tracing that alphabet. Once you have your traced version of the alphabet, you'll need to scan that in, probably save it as a TIFF file or a high quality JPEG or something, and that's going to become the image that you use for P3. To put this all together in the PDF that you'll need to submit, you'll have to go to InDesign for this one. So in InDesign, you can make a new document. As far as the settings go, once again, this screen might look different depending on which version you're working with. But I'm going to get the A3 preset. If you don't have the preset, just type in the measurements, 297 by 420 mil. Excuse me. And this will be a landscape document rather than a portrait one to match what we did before. No facing pages, we just want single pages, and we're going to have 3 of those. And then we'll create that document. So you can see we have a 3-page PDF here. Now you can probably guess what's going to happen from here. We can use our File and Place command in InDesign, which you should be familiar with. Just locate my files. So I get the PDF for P1 photos. We can place this in and position that onto page 1. We can go to page 2, go to File and Place, or Command D. We can get our vectors. And we can place that in. Now I don't have the image for this, but on page 3 you would take the scan of the tracing that you did. Remember that tracing needs to be marked up with just some horizontal lines drawn in for those guides, your baseline and your X height, or your baseline and your caps height. Place that on this page. That's technically all you need to do, although I think it would probably be advisable as well, maybe on each page, to create a text box and maybe preface that with your name and your student number, and then maybe photographic alphabet. Let's set that in a typeface of some description. And then you could copy and paste that text to each page. That way it's labeled with your name and student number. We know what page we're looking at, and then you're good to go. So I could just duplicate that object onto each page. This one here is my vector alphabet. And this one would be my traced alphabet, if I have one. Once that's all set up, you can use the File and Export command from InDesign. Let me just put this somewhere where I'm going to find it. And maybe you could label this PDF as your first name, surname, student number, and oh, it's escaped me exactly what this project is called. You might just call it Vector Alphabet. Or it's it might be Artifact 7 or something. I'd have to double check the brief. With this PDF you export, I would suggest very simply just using the high quality PDF preset that appears up the top there. And that should be all good. So I'll wait for that to export. And we should have our PDF here. So I'll have page 1, page 2, page 3 with your traced alphabet. So 3-page A3 document in InDesign, place in the image or the PDF you have for each page, and then use File and Export to make a high quality PDF. And that should be how you complete this project. So good luck with everything, guys. Have fun with this one. It will take a bit of work. Make sure you budget enough time accordingly, especially if you are new to Illustrator. It's going to take a bit of time to do all those letter forms and things. So make sure you budget a bit of time, perhaps each day, to work on a couple of letters, just so you can get the alphabet complete in time. Yeah, good luck and have fun.